So now, following the Parkland shooting, Florida has basically voted to be able to arm all teachers. It's a terrible idea. And look, I don't have to just tell you. I actually have an example of why arming people during mass shootings is a terrible idea. Now, the same day that the Florida school shooting happened, a man named Tony Garces was also involved in what would have been a possible mass shooting. Now, what had happened is that there was a gunman that had went into the church. Now, Tony Garces, of course, was in there for AA, I believe, when a man who had entered the chapel at Faith City Mission threatened with a gun to hold the church attendees hostage. I don't know why, but that's what had happened. Now, during this, what happened? This is amazing, right? Garces, who was near the front of the church, was among those who was held captive. Now, the gunman did not say what he wanted, only that he wanted to hold church attendees hostage for a couple of days. Now, nobody wants to be in that hostage situation. Now, the gunman gave a woman zip ties and instructed her to tie Garces up. So this woman, who is unnamed, is actually a fucking genius. She left one of the ties loose. And so when few other people scrambled towards the gunman because they had loose ties, they were able to easily break out of it and overwhelm the gunman. Now, Garces went for the weapon. He was able to grab the handgun, and then during the struggle, of course, there was one shot that went off that bounced and hit a wall, but during that struggle, he was able to get the handgun away from the shooter and then leave through a side door. What happened next was very, very unfortunate for Mr. Garces because the police had showed up. Now, according to his account, he went out the side door. He had the gun upside down, clutching it with both hands, when he encountered the officer with a rifle who told him to drop the weapon. He started bending down to put it on the ground, according to Garces, and he said, quote, "I didn't want to drop it. It would go off." That's when the cop shot me. So understand, he got 2 rounds put into him by a police officer when he was trying to put down the gun. A gun that he was able to wrestle away from the gunman in the church. Wow. Again, look, he did survive the shooting, at least. But at the same time, how this relates to my argument of we should not arm the teachers, right? Because you might think, well, this is a good guy with a gun. He was able to, he's a hero. And I agree, he is a hero. And he actually might have saved a lot of lives today. But at the same time, you have a gun and you encounter a police officer, he doesn't know that you're a good guy. He doesn't know that you're a good guy with a gun. And how is he supposed to know if you're the good guy or the bad guy with the gun? So in that situation, more guns were not good. More guns were a bad thing. And who's to know if Garces had been armed before, or anybody in that church had been armed before when that gunman had came in, what would actually happen? I mean, you might have a church full of people, going back to that AR-15 story, where they were blessing the guns. They all had ammunition. That was, they all had their guns loaded. Well, then what would have happened? You would have had a massive shootout. And then when the cops again had showed up, there would have been even more bloodshed. This is a bad, bad idea. Terrible idea. Don't arm people. And again, this is obviously a police officer who, again, does not know who the good guys and the bad guys are in this situation. And we shouldn't expect them to. And if everybody's armed, then how can you tell who the good guy is? It's a disaster in the making. Now, Garce's lawyer, by the way, and he's looking to sue the city if they don't basically do an apology and some sort of, at least an apology. Maybe pay off his medical bills because, they put him in the hospital because they shot him, and admit to their wrongdoing. Blackburn, that is, of course, the last name of his lawyer, said, quote, "If this proves anything, it proves that when a situation is that tense and you've got officers trained to shoot first, and they've been told by the law to shoot first, if you're remotely threatened," I think that's a great point, "they're going to feel threatened when they see a teacher with a gun." So he's tying this directly to Florida's decision to arm all teachers, which, by the way, that's not what the Parkland shooting victims want. It's not what a lot of Americans want. They don't want the teachers to be armed with guns because situations like this are bound to happen. You don't know if you're the cop, if the teacher that has the gun is the good guy or the bad guy. In fact, we just had a recent situation where a teacher with a gun that was legally armed had his gun in the classroom, ended up barricading himself in the classroom and actually firing that gun in the school. You don't know if it's a good guy or a bad guy. That's why teachers should not have guns. They should not have guns in the classroom. It's a ridiculous idea. More guns does not solve the problem. Less guns. And also, yes, police training does play into this. And I think that is an important point, that we should train our police officers to maybe take a little bit of risk in their job. I know, perish the thought, right? And not just shoot anybody and everybody immediately, and not take one little bit of risk with their lives. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.